Hey up, it's Steve, an old Yorkshire geek, with a bit of Star Trek news for you. This came sort of late last night for me, so I didn't get a chance to do a video last night, so I've had to do it today, being on the other side of the world-ish from where the news dropped yesterday afternoon. I don't know, but anyway. Scott Bakula may be returning to the Star Trek universe. Maybe, but in my opinion, not if Alex Kurtzman's got anything to do with it. But anyway, this is from TrekMovie.com. Exclusive, Scott Bakula eyeing Star Trek return in President Archer series. Pitch from Enterprise producer. A producer of the series Enterprise, Michael Sussman. Not Rick Berman. Anywho, before we start on that, don't forget to like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already, and all that stuff. Explore the description for links for stuff like merch and my books and blah blah blah, all that stuff, social medias, etc. And super chats, not super chats because we're not live, super thanks and all that cool stuff will be greatly appreciated. What else? Yes, become a member of the YouTube channel and then you get exclusive videos and early access videos and things of that nature. My cat's looking at me like a mental. Anyway, right, so let's have a look at this article, shall we? I shall pop it up on the screen, and there it is. Exclusive, this is from TrekMovie.com. Exclusive, Scott Bakula, blah, because they were on What We Do in the Shadows, and they thought he was a vampire, didn't they, because of his name. Bless.
Bakula? I can't Bakula, big fan.
Oh, shush, it turns out he's not even actually a vampire.
Scott Bakula eyeing Star Trek return in President Archer series. Pitch from Enterprise producer, as I just said. And there he is as Captain Archer. I think that's in the final episode, isn't it? These are the Voyagers. When essentially the founding of the Federation, isn't it? Is that episode? And there he is, I presume, as he appears now. Right, anyway, this is from Anthony Pascal. It's been 20 years since Captain Jonathan Archer and the crew of the NX-01 returned to space dock for the series finale of Star Trek Enterprise, wrapping up a 4-season run on UPN. A lot of people didn't like that series finale, did they? I didn't at first, but it's kind of grown on me. But I don't view it as a proper canon finale because, spoilers, it were all on the holodeck on the Enterprise D, so I'm going to say it's open to interpretation what happened in that episode. Hashtag Trip's not dead. Anyway, where were we? It was the franchise's last network TV series. Since that time, series star Scott Bakula has kept busy, including starring in the CBS procedural NCIS New Orleans for 7 seasons. I've never seen any NCIS shows. How many is there? There's like a squintillion of them, isn't there? Never watched one, ever. But it turns out he has kept an eye on his time in space and kept in touch with veteran writer-producer Michael Sussman, whose Star Trek writing credits include 10 episodes of Voyager and 22 episodes of Enterprise, where he also served as a producer on more than 70 episodes. Ahead of his appearance on Trek Movies Does Canon Matter, and If So When panel on Saturday at the Star Trek Las Vegas Trek to Vegas convention, Sussman spoke exclusively with Trek Movie about a series concept he has been developing with Scott Bakula. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Over the last couple of years. I won't do it again. Bakula himself will also be at STLV for a Sunday main stage panel in a rare convention appearance. So that'll be cool for the people in Sin City. Right, according to Sussman, the idea of Bakula returning to the franchise began a few years ago while Star Trek Picard was streaming on Paramount+. That show wrapped up in 2023 under showrunner Terry Matalas, himself a veteran of Star Trek Enterprise, and got a planet named after him, and friend of Sussman. At that time, in an email exchange with Bakula, Sussman first joked, "How soon are we going to see Star Trek Archer on Paramount+?" Then quickly realised he actually had an idea based on some seeds planted 2 decades before in Enterprise, and Bakula was intrigued. He immediately glommed onto it. What the hell does glommed mean? I don't know. Like, that's glommed, isn't it? Sussman tells Trek Movie. I imagine A horter glomming onto something. Anyway. Or Odo glom onto something, wouldn't it? Anyway. The seed was based on the last episode Sussman wrote for the franchise, In a Mirror Darkly Part 2, from late in the show's 4th season. And I love that, those 2 episodes, In a Mirror Darkly Part 1 and 2, I think they're amazing. Anyway, that episode, 2-parter, was set in the Mirror Universe and featured Bakula playing Archer's Mirror Universe doppelganger, who at one point had access to a Starfleet database from the future on board the USS Defiant, the Constitution-class USS Defiant, the one that disappeared in the Tholian web, that one. Not the USS Defiant from Deep Space Nine. And looked up his Prime Universe counterpart in a graphic seen by viewers as well. According to Sussman, it occurred to me that someone on the writing staff, not the art department, needed to write this graphic. Somebody needed to think about this right. This was going to be a graphic that spelled out Archer's life and career after the series ended. Knowing the franchise was going into the freezer for a spell, Sussman outlined Archer's future, aware this graphic might be fully visible on the finished episode, and therefore Trek canon, because whatever appears on screen is canon, no matter how poo it is. In the end it was, and it did. Oh, we're going to get a look at it here. Thinking back to this episode was a sort of a eureka moment for the writer-producer. Holy shit! I'm swearing. I actually have an idea for a series going back to that view screen graphic that I planted all those years earlier, says Sussman. The key is that on Enterprise, Sussman established that Archer, after retiring as an admiral, left Starfleet to get into politics and eventually rose to president of the United Federation of Planets. And there it is, look. Starfleet personnel file. Archer Jonathan, serial number SA0229237-CY. Rank at retirement, Admiral, Chief of Staff, Starfleet Command, former assignments, Commanding Officer, Enterprise NX-01. Is that the only ship he commanded then? It must be. 2150 to 2160. Ambassador to Andoria, 2169 to 2175. I hope he had warm clothes. I hope he had his furry coat. Because Andoria's a bit nippy, isn't it? Federation Council Man, 20 whatever that is, 2175 to 2183. I imagine is that equivalent to, the House of Representatives or whatever you've got in America, or a senator or something like that. And he was president of the UFP, the United Federation of Planets, from 2184 to 2192. Is that 1 term or 2? I imagine that'd be 2 terms, won't it? 2 4-year terms, isn't it? Because the UFP is essentially America in space, isn't it, really? Birthplace, upstate New York. No, I'm going to read all this, I apologise. Upstate New York, North America, Earth. What's the postcode? Parents, zip code. Parents, Henry and Sally Archer. See, I didn't know his mother's name. I knew his dad was Henry, I never knew his mother's name, Sally. I don't know if they ever mentioned it in the series. They probably did, I just probably missed it. Psychological profile, charming, bold, a born explorer, Archer was guided by a core of human decency and intuition. Even when they contravened direct orders, he was independent, yet had a strong sense of duty. Archer, I always want to say Archer for some reason. Archer held a grudge against the Vulcans, whom he blamed for keeping humanity stuck on Earth, but he learned to cope with a Vulcan science officer. As captain of a starship his father helped build, Archer was eager to make history and see what's out there. That seems a bit weird, the way they've written that, doesn't it? But anyway. Biographical overview. Son of famed warp specialist Henry Archer, Jonathan Archer was appointed captain of Starfleet's first Warp 5 starship. But he wasn't a shoe-in, was he? Because they were up against other people, wasn't he? He nearly lost out to it, didn't he? To the other fella, whose name I've forgotten. Enterprise NX-01. As an explorer and peacemaker, his name is among the most recognised in the Federation, and his pioneering voyages aboard the Enterprise are known to school children on dozens of worlds, many of which were unknown to humans in Archer's lifetime. Historian John Gill, remember him from which episode was it? The original series, was it Patterns of Force? The one where he went to that planet and they all turned into Nazis, that one. Called Archer the greatest explorer of the 22nd century. Archer what is the matter with me? Archer earned an impressive list of commendations during his career, including a Medal of Valor, Won't be the Christopher Pike one at this point, because it would before Pike, won't it? 100 years before Pike. With clusters, the Star Cross, the Pre-Antares Ribbon of Commendation, and the Federation Citation of Honour. Archer was also appointed an honorary member of the Andorian Guard by General Thylek Shran in 2164. He's the only human to have 2 planets named in his honour, Archer's Planet in the Gamma Trianguli sector and Archer 4, which orbits 61 Ursa Majoris. Archer 4 was the first M-class world charted by the famous explorer. Alright, fair enough. Although the planet was uninhabitable throughout the 22nd century due to toxic pollen in the atmosphere, an antidote... That must have been in an episode then, but I can't remember. Yeah. Windgrace is screaming at the screen now, telling me what episode it was. An antidote to the pollen was discovered in the early 2200s. Today, the population of Archer 4 number more than 700 million. Jonathan Archer grew up dreaming of the day when he would get to go where no man has gone before. Not no one, no man. His father was the renowned Henry Archer, who led the development of the Warp 5 engine in the footsteps of warp pioneer Zephram Cochrane. So it is fitting that Jonathan would carry on the family legacy. There we go. Next page, click. And I can't. Right, the show, Star Trek United, I'm going to say we're going to be called. Sounds like a football team, doesn't it? The show would revolve around Archer's time, and when I say football, I mean soccer. The show would revolve around Archer's time as president, with Sussman likening it to the shows like The West Wing, Homeland, and The Diplomat. Again, shows I've never watched. It's a political thriller and a family drama set in those chaotic, formative years of the Federation. Sussman began outlining ideas for this potential series, working with Bakula, who liked the idea of a different take on the character. But I hope not like Picard. Not a different take like we got the first 2 seasons of Picard. Anyway, we did 98 hours of Enterprise, and I think he felt he really explored that character. But this was a very different direction for Archer to go in, and I think he was really intrigued by that. If you watch Enterprise, it's actually interesting to watch Archer's development. He starts off all bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, full of dreams of exploration and all that. And as the show drags on, he gets dragged down by the burden of command, all the problems that they encounter out there, and it kind of becomes harder and all that. But still, you know, a good Starfleet officer. Sussman and Bakula even had a title ready: Star Trek United. Though they also considered dropping the colon and going with Star Trek United. It sounded even more like a soccer team. The idea would be for a more mature show, looking at the recent success that Star Wars had. The Star Wars franchise had with that approach. Sussman explains, one of my aspirations would be that the series could do for Star Trek what Andor did for Star Wars. It's a show where you can tell adult stories about adults and tell them in a very grounded, realistic way. Fortunately, nobody watched Andor. Even though it was really good, nobody watched it. Anyway, so a couple of years ago, with the approval of Bakula, Sussman took the Star Trek United concept to Secret Hideout, Alex Kurtzman's production company, which makes all the streaming Star Trek series for CBS Studios and Paramount Plus. Fingers crossed for not much longer, but I think he'll get another deal. Because, as I said, he's a limpet. The writer-producer says he didn't present a complete formal series proposal, describing it more as high-level overview, outlining the idea to the executives to see if they were interested in a full official presentation. According to Sussman, he was preparing for a follow-up pitch which would have included a pilot story, character arcs and episode ideas. Sussman says the meeting went well, I'm sure it did, with the executives liking the idea but wanting to think it over. If you're a writer, you hear that all the time. Then you get rejected. I love it, but we don't know what to do with it. That's what they've told him. It took a couple of months for them to get back in touch, explaining they took the idea seriously and brought it to the higher levels at Paramount. I bet they didn't. A Star Trek series idea with Scott Bakula as the lead would certainly merit a discussion, as he has been a major star, the company, including Maybe start in the company, I imagine, including those 7 seasons of NCIS New Orleans from 2014 to 2021. However, at the time, Secret Hideout and Paramount decided not to move forward. I think Alex Kurtzman decided not to move forward because it wasn't his idea. Not to move forward, developing the idea further. The decision was made in the same time frame as Paramount was starting to pull back on streaming spending. There was also some thematic overlap with the Earth-based Starfleet Academy series. Why is there some thematic overlap with that? That's set in the 32nd century at Starfleet Academy, which was in active development, so it wasn't the right time for Star Trek United. In other words, Alex Kurtzman didn't want it overshining his product, much the same way that Star Trek Picard Season 3 outshined all the other Alex Kurtzman pushed Star Treks, because it was the best Star Trek, wasn't it, at the time? Anyway, since then, Bakula and Sussman have continued to work together on a separate non-Star Trek project. We don't care. But they've also kept the conversation about Star Trek United alive, developing and refining it further. At one point they decided to move the setting from Earth to the planet Babel, a centre of interplanetary diplomacy first introduced in the original series in Journey to Babel, where we first meet Sarek and Amanda, Spock's parents. To further distinguish it from Starfleet Academy. The show's concept continued to feel rich, resonant and worth exploring, says Sussman, and with Skydance now officially in charge of Paramount, Sussman says he and Bakula think it could be time to bring the Star Trek United pitch back into the mix. Sussman tells Trek Movie. The hope is that Paramount is planning to invest more in Star Trek on television, and they've been very clear about how they want to make Paramount Plus a real player in the streaming space. Speaking to the media yesterday, new Paramount CEO David Ellison talked about a new focus on streaming. When I say yesterday, this will be the 7th of August. We are committed to increasing investment in premium exclusive content because we understand that exceptional storytelling is the single biggest driver of subscriber growth and loyalty. He's not talking about Star Trek there. He's obviously on about the Taylor Sheridan series, which is apparently the only things that people watch on Paramount Plus, pretty much. Yellowstone, what else we got? 1923, 1883, whatever the hell it's called. What else did he do? He did that Tulsa King. That was a Taylor Sheridan, wasn't it? Sure it was. And there'll be others. They should just call it the Taylor Sheridan service. Anyway, and Sussman isn't alone. Strange New World's executive producer Akiva Goldsman has also talked about how Skydance taking over is an opportunity for him to pitch his Star Trek Year 1 concept, which is the first year of Captain Kirk's command of the USS Enterprise. Just yesterday at Star Trek Las Vegas, Simon Pegg talked about how Ellison, an executive producer on the last 2 Star Trek films, because remember Skydance was the company that brought us JJ Trek, just letting you know that, taking over makes now the right time for a 4th Kelvin universe film. Oh, don't. Anyway, how long is this article? I'm just going by the size of the scrolling bar at the side that you can't see, but it's tiny. Hope it doesn't go on for much longer. Mike will be joining the Trek Movie Does Canon Matter panel in the lounge on Saturday 11:30am. They're just talking about what's going on at Star Trek Las Vegas. We don't really need to do that, do we? But that's going on over the weekend, so we'll see what happens. Oh yes, that's it. So stay tuned for Trek Movie for more from there. We'll see what happens, But I'm not building my hopes up. If Alex Kurtzman's still in charge when things settle down, I'll leave that there. If Alex Kurtzman's still in charge of Star Trek for Paramount Plus, when things settle down, I don't think we'll see this series. I don't think we'll see Star Trek Year 1 either. We'll see something that he wants to make because he's got a massive ego, and he hates it when other people do things better than him, which is most people, to be completely honest. I imagine he hated season 3 of Star Trek Picard because it was just orders of magnitude better than the first 2 seasons. Even though it wasn't perfect, I did enjoy it, but not as much as some people. But anyway, and I don't think he's a big fan of Strange New Worlds, because that also kind of got off the ground when he had his eyes on other things. Because he started doing other shows, didn't he? Did Alex Kurtzman, he did his Man Who Fell to Earth, and his I forgot what they call it now. His Clarice, what it calls Clarice, or what it calls Starling, or it sounds to the Lambs rip off, because he never does anything original, does he, Alex Kurtzman? It's always something else that somebody's done before, and he does his own version of it. I don't think he's ever done anything original. But anyway, but that's neither here nor there. I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be nice if it did, and if it's producers from the original Star Trek, classic Star Trek, like I said, Michael Sussman worked on Voyager and Enterprise. It'd be nice somebody like that in charge, like when we had Terry Matalas in charge of season 3 of Picard. They'll keep it on the straight and narrow. Anyway, so we'll leave it there. So, but as I said on Wingrace's video about this, in the comments, if I want such a cynical son of a gun, I'd actually be quite excited about this. I'd actually be very excited, because Enterprise is actually my favourite Star Trek series. It's the one I return to more than any other, and I just think it's great. I love Enterprise. I think of all the Star Trek series, I think it's the one that has the most good episodes versus filler episodes, in my opinion. And it got cut off before its time. But anyway, right. So we'll leave it there. We'll leave that there. So hang on, let's get rid of this. Right, so that's that done and dusted. We will see what happens, won't we? We'll see if anything comes forth from this, but I don't think it will. I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. I hope it does. I have been wrong many, many times, and maybe I'm wrong about this. Right, so we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching wherever you are. Look after each other, live long and prosper, and until next time, I'll say there. That old Yorkshire geek with stories.